Hi and welcome to another episode of the Elevated Beauty Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Fouts, and in today's episode, I want to talk all about melasma. So this is a condition that I was not very aware of when I started out in aesthetics, and I do find that a lot of newer estheticians aren't super educated on it unless they go to a really great school. I went into a crappy school, but I do also see a lot of treatment recommendations that can be potentially harmful for this condition because we do want to treat it a little bit differently than traditional hyperpigmentation. There are some treatments that you can do that will possibly and likely make it worse. So I'm going to get more into the science of melasma, the different types of melasma, and what you can do to control it and potentially fade it depending on what type of melasma you have. All right, so let's start off with what melasma is. It's also known as the pregnancy mask. So this is a skin disorder most commonly occurring in women either during pregnancy, particularly the third trimester, because we have an influx of hormones, or menopause, usually between the ages of 20 to 40. And melasma is presented with hyperpigmentation anywhere from the forehead to the cheeks, the nose, jawline, neck, and even the shoulders or forearms. So you may experience a range of dark to light brown patches and even bluish or a gray hue with obvious or blurred borders. And it occurs less frequently in those with fair skin tones, and it is known to carry an increased risk in twins, or if it just runs in your family. If your mother has it, then there's more of a likelihood that you will also get it as well. So melasma occurs as a result of overactive melanocyte production, and it usually happens because of a spike in our estrogen or progesterone levels, but it is also known to be increased by heat and ultraviolet exposure. So some things are like tanning beds, just unprotected sun exposure, LED screens, direct heat from laser, etc. So that can all cause melasma to become triggered or just make it worse. So it can also worsen or occur with the use of anti-seizure medication, phototoxic drugs, which make our skin sun sensitive, oral contraceptives, because they are usually high in estrogen or progesterone. And so those are all things that you want to be conscious of if you are experiencing melasma. So if you suspect that you have melasma, or if you have been diagnosed with it from a dermatologist, what you can do is first understand what type of melasma you have. There are 3 types: epidermal, dermal, and mixed. So epidermal melasma is occurring on the foremost layer, the epidermis, and is characterized by defined borders and a dark to light brown coloration. And then we have dermal melasma, and so this occurs in the deeper layer of the skin, the dermis, and is characterized by blurred borders with a light brown to a gray or bluish hue. And this is less receptive to treatment than epidermal melasma is. And this is because it is located in the dermis, which is a deeper layer of our skin. So lastly, we have mixed, which obviously is occurring in both layers. And so with epidermal melasma and mixed melasma having the ability to become a little bit more receptive to treatments, what you can do is you can get oral tranexamic acid peel prescribed to you by a dermatologist. You can receive specific chemical peels or even laser, which you have to be very cautious with laser because melasma is triggered by heat. So if you did decide to opt for a laser treatment, you would only want to receive that from an ethical professional that is very educated on laser function and knows which one is going to be best for you. So with melasma, there are some things that are non-negotiable, and really this is with anyone that I'm trying to treat any hyperpigmentation at all, but very specifically with melasma, you want to control it first and foremost. You need to wear your SPF religiously and you have to apply it daily and reapply it every 2 hours if you are going to be in any way, shape, or form exposed to sunlight. Even if you're going to be in an office with a window, you need to be reapplying it every 2 hours because that is accumulative. It is going to affect you way more than you think. You've got to think, if you have a plant that is surviving in your office that gets minimal sunlight through the blinds, that's got enough sunlight to affect it, so it's got to be affecting your skin as well. So you want to be religious with that. And then you also want to use a tyrosinase inhibitor, which blocks the enzyme responsible for producing pigment. And if you want to know more about tyrosinase inhibitors, you can listen to my last podcast episode where I go more into detail on what those are and how they work. So, and I want to mention, please do not treat melasma. If you're an esthetician, please do not treat it unless you are educated on it, because it's important to know that it is a condition that requires specific treatments and management. And it does occur and respond differently than most hyperpigmentation, like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and post-inflammatory erythema. So it's definitely going to respond differently to treatment, and you mostly just want to focus on the control of that. So I want to thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully you learned something new. If you have any commentary to put into the topic of melasma or want to have a conversation about it, please go to my Instagram at Elevated Beauty Podcast and comment on my post about this episode, and we can have a discussion about it. Maybe I'll learn something new. So as always, I will see you guys next Monday, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for another episode.